Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
104.7 The Cave. Mike, the intern, on the phone this morning with Ned Reynolds because he is taking this week off on vacation. He's at his house in the Hamptons. But he's being kind enough to us because he knows that our football team's going to the Super Bowl this Sunday. So he's like, you know what? I've got my Hamptons thing going. I'll still call into the show. So I appreciate you taking the time for us this morning, Ned.
Oh, and the Hamptons are so beautiful, too. You can't imagine what it's like.
Yeah, there's no way the little people like us can even have any kind of taste of what that good life is like. But we're going to get it on Sunday. Chiefs, Eagles, New Orleans. Teams are both down in New Orleans as of right now, so they're both practicing there all week, right?
They will. Practice is kind of a euphemism because they already know what they're going to do. There are no mysteries involved at this time of the year. So what they'll do is go down, and incidentally, the practices for the most part are closed. Why, I don't know, but they are. And in the interim, what they do is have all these big parties for all the corporations that are down there, and it's a big deal. And the players love it. They're featured. And, of course, you'll have tomorrow, which is normally the media day, and that's a joke, Mike, for heaven's sake. You've seen it. The hordes of media come in out of the stands and ask some of the stupidest questions. I mean, it is a circus. But the players don't seem to mind it too badly, and it's all part of the show prior to the game itself, which is coming up next Sunday.
One of the things I do like about Media Day is they typically do get one of those kid reporters to go around and get to talk to the pros, which I think is awesome because once you were one of those kids too. So those are usually better questions than the adults sometimes.
Well, that is true. They do put the kids in there, and they have a working knowledge of what's going on. It's the entertainers who are down there for the show who have zero clue.
So this past weekend, of course, was the Flag Football Pro Bowl. NFC, like they have in the past, just dominated that game.
Yeah, what they do in the games and in the contests that they have prior to that, which are speed contests and ball handling and things, they score each one. But the flag football game, gets most of the points allowed. And yeah, the NFL won at 75-63. But Mike, this is really not the competition you're looking for. It doesn't. I didn't even see any of it at all. It doesn't really have any variance on what happens. It doesn't have any impact on your liking of the game. Now, I will ask you, you're a football fan. Did you watch it?
That's a negative, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I don't think very many other people did.
Nah, didn't.
The fact is that they have this, and in many respects, it does beat the All-Star game because your injury factor is very much limited. That's what they don't want.
And I think that's part of that was part of something that the players actually wanted, which definitely makes sense, especially after a long fought season. What's interesting is I think I saw more uproar about that trade that happened Saturday into Sunday with Dallas, and I think it's funny that a trade actually got more traction than the Pro Bowl did.
It did indeed, and it's very rare. Very rare in the NBA to have what's called a blockbuster trade. But this is the trading deadline. It comes up the latter part of this week, so any kind of big deals are going to take place. The big one is Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, who goes to the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's a big deal. Doncic is the reigning NBA scoring champion. Last year for Dallas, he averaged almost 34 points a game. That's enormous in the NBA. But the complaint is that Doncic is the only scorer on the team. They don't have anybody else, and they're not going to go anywhere. And Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks, wants his team in championship competition. So he said, hey, we need defense. Let's see if the Lakers might be willing to trade, and they were. Anthony Davis, the 6'11" to 7-foot center, All-American at Kentucky, and a very big part of the Los Angeles Lakers, really has an injury factor that it's tough to stop. He's always getting some kind of an injury. So Cuban said, how about if we trade you, Doncic, for Anthony Davis? And there's a third player from the Chicago Bulls who gets involved in this thing too. But the fact of the matter remains that it is a very big deal for both teams because Anthony Davis will help Dallas, and certainly Doncic, who can score with the best of them, now teaming up with LeBron James out of Los Angeles. It's a very, very interesting combination.
The PGA Tour happened over the weekend back in the States. Where were we this time?
This is Pebble Beach,
Yeah.
California, out on the Monterey Peninsula. And you're saying, wait a minute, California, they've had fires out there. This is about 40 to 50, maybe even closer to 60 miles above those fires. It did not occur out of this area. And Pebble Beach, I'm glad it didn't, because Pebble Beach is just a marvelous attraction for the fans. So every year they have the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am Tournament. It's the old Crosby clam bake that Bing Crosby used to sponsor. And this was the weekend for it. It's a big deal. The purse is $20 million, so all the big pros are playing. As a matter of fact, it was 80 of them. 80 had the special invitations to it. And during the first 2 days, or maybe 3 it is, they have high-paying amateurs who play along with the pros. And then when you get to the final rounds, well, it's the pros who are out there playing. And a very, very, very big win for a guy named Rory McIlroy. He hasn't won in a while, but he did win this one. He won at 21 strokes under par and 2 strokes ahead of Shane Lowry, who just happens to be an Irish countryman of McIlroy. They both live in the United States, but they are both from Ireland and travel over there quite a bit. But the fact is, they shared the money, and McIlroy's winning purse is $3,600,000 out of this one. And Lowry, he doesn't come out too shabby either, a couple of $1 million for him too. But it's a big deal, and 21 under par at Pebble Beach, which is a pretty demanding course. It is a public course, incidentally, but it is very demanding. And McIlroy solved it, and this may open the gates for him to have another very big year.
We had some action on the court with our local teams, both the Bears and the Panthers this week. I'm going to start with MSU.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Finally!
They finally got a win, and it was a substantial win, too, 75 to 56 over Murray State. The Bears came out smoking, didn't smoke so much in the second half, but they didn't have to. They had a big lead and held off the Murray State Racers for the first win in the Missouri Valley Conference this year, and this, as everybody knows, is the Bears' last year in the Missouri Valley. So they come away with a huge win, and let's see if that doesn't open the gates for them and maybe drops this psychological barrier that they've had. So it's big in many, many respects. Didn't have very many people there, a little over 2,000, but they're the hardcore fans who do show up, win or lose, rain or shine, no matter what the case might be. And they were there to see that and celebrated with the Bears. So win number 1 comes up. We're into the second half of the season. The tournament is on the way. The tournament is just about a month from now in St. Louis, and you never can tell what's going to happen, but there really isn't any way that the Bears can avoid in the play-in round, which are 2 games on Thursday. One on Friday, actually, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And to win a championship, four wins in 4 days is tough, but maybe part of life, that's the way it goes.
Hey, at least they got a dub, and it's been a long time coming, so no complaints on this end. It was a long, hard-fought process to change a football team's name because inevitably they had to go through 2. First, just the football team, then they landed on the Commanders. Now there's a thought they might go back to the original one.
Probably not. It's probably not going to go back to the Redskins. That had been a thought, but the Redskins logo may come back. Let me pre-surface this by telling you about Drury. The Drury teams lost both their games on Saturday. They lost to Lewis in Springfield. Now, that doesn't happen very often. But both teams, the Lady Panthers and the Panthers, lost by 2 points in their games. But they did lose, and that's not acceptable. The Drury baseball team also lost out in Hawaii, but they're out in Hawaii, so you can accept the loss there. This Washington Commanders thing was brought about by the new ownership, and apparently there's been a lot of public pressure. And of all things, the National Council for Native American Relations said, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Redskins. That's a symbol of power in our race. We don't mind that at all." Well, they probably can't go back to Redskins as a nickname, but they can go and bring back the logo and so forth. So that's what's going to be planned for next year. How it's going to work remains to be seen, but that is part of the process right now.
Ned, have a great Monday, and we will see you mañana.